Before I was at Tasty, I was living and working in Stockholm, Sweden, and I always used to joke that the Swedes had a bun for every single season. And the bun for the winter season is Lussebullar. Hey, I'm Alex, I'm a Tasty producer, and today I'm gonna show you guys how to make Lussebullar, or saffron buns. Lussebullar are so beautiful, but don't let that intimidate you in making them. They're actually pretty simple. Now, some people might grind up their saffron threads into a fine powder. However, I found that once you're done kneading the dough, the saffron threads have pretty much dissolved into it, so I just throw them right in. Saffron buns are rich and buttery like a brioche. They have a little bit of sweetness, a little bit of spice, and of course, a vibrant yellow color from the saffron-infused dough. Cardamom isn't traditionally put in most saffron buns, but I like to add a little bit just to give it an extra punch in flavor. Flavor punch. I found it easier to make a well and put the wet ingredients into that well and slowly start incorporating the flour into the wet that way. And that will help you to incorporate the ingredients completely and not end up with a lumpy dough, because no one wants a lumpy dough. Even in the dark and the cold, Christmas time in Sweden was my absolute favorite time of year. There's Christmas markets, pretty lights everywhere, snow, and of course, saffron buns. Unfortunately, they're only really available in December, but in learning how to make them, you could eat them all year long. Kneading the dough is a super important step in order to develop the gluten and get a really light and fluffy bun. You can find these buns in December in bakeries across Scandinavia, but they're actually meant to be eaten on December 13th, which is Santa Lucia Day, the festival of light, and it's meant to bring light and warmth to the coldest month of the year. Punching down the dough will help release some of those gas bubbles and redistribute the yeast through the dough. First, I pull up some of the dough and form a ball. The ball should be about 2 inches in width, and then I start rolling out that ball into a long rope. If you want super even-sized buns, you can measure your dough throughout this shaping process, but I usually just eyeball it. Traditionally, they're shaped in an S shape meant to look like a curled up cat, and that's why they're also sometimes called lussekatter. Proofing is the final rise of the shaped bread dough before baking, and it's an important step, so don't skip it. The egg wash will help give a really beautiful golden brown and shiny finish to the buns while baking. I miss Sweden so much, but making these buns, it's like a little piece of Sweden right here in California. So traditionally, the buns have 2 raisins that are placed in the center of each spiral, and these are meant to look like the eyes of the cat, which I don't know if I particularly see, but hey, can't complain. Once these buns go into the oven, buns in the oven, 10 to 12 minutes and you'll have a delicious Lussebullar ready to eat. When I'm traveling, my absolute favorite way to absorb another culture is through the food. But if you don't have the opportunity to travel, learning how to make other cultures' dishes at home is a great way to explore. Brings me right back. Now those are some good looking buns.
Oh, yes.